Hi guys, it's Frankie from Frankie Tech. Good to see you guys again, and I'm here with, as promised, my comparison versus the P30 Pro, the Galaxy S10 Plus, and the Xiaomi Mi 9. And I've been waiting to do this one for a while, but I wanted to give it the full time that I needed to do it today. So here we are. And I'm going to do this also in a little bit of a different format. So if you guys haven't been in my channel for a long time, back in the day I used to do what was called the mini review. And it was a much faster paced, kind of almost bullet point fashion description of the phones, comparing them. And I think it was pretty effective in terms of doing things a little bit faster. I feel like my videos have gone a little bit longer recently. And so I'm going to try this out for this comparison. But before we do that, I wanted to share my 1 week review with the P30 Pro. And I gotta say, this phone is everything it's been cracked up to be, and while the hype has been real in terms of the camera, I must say I still enjoyed my time with the P20 Pro from last year more. Now, don't know why that is. I think I have a few specific reasons which I'll share at the end. This is a great phone, don't get me wrong. It's been awesome, but I guess maybe the fact that I've reviewed so many phones over this past year, I've really gotten to understand what a great phone is, and also what a phone, is supposed to cost. And in terms of value and in terms of hardware and specs, this is an awesome phone. Don't get me wrong, the P30 Pro's camera has been spectacular. I've enjoyed using this phone. It's speedy, it's responsive, everything works beautifully. EMUI has definitely evolved as well. And yet there's something about it that just I don't click as much with as maybe I did with the P20 Pro. Similar kind of feeling to what happened with the Mate 20 Pro, and I definitely enjoyed the Mate 20X a lot more than that phone. So I'll explain kind of all my reasoning in the end and why, this phone, while it is a great, phenomenal phone, might just not be the one for me. But I think overall, if you want to have the best camera on a smartphone, and you want to have the most, the most flexible, the most versatile camera on a smartphone, look no further. This P30 Pro still has it in spades and is a terrific phone for a lot of people. So that's it for the quick 1 week review. Let's go now into the bullet point style quick comparison between the P30 Pro, the Galaxy S10 Plus, and the Xiaomi Mi 9. Design: 192 grams, 175 grams, 173 grams, 8.4 millimeters, 7.8 millimeters, 7.6. Definitely the heftiest one of the bunch, but the P30 Pro makes up for it in incredible build quality. The edges go right to the corners, and the tolerances are incredible. But the Galaxy S10 Plus is just as well built, and I especially appreciate the fact that the curves on the edge are far sharper. That may be a big reason why I'm not a huge fan of the P30 Pro. Look at the curve. It is far softer a curve than on the S10 Plus. I really prefer the sharper curve that doesn't eat into the display as much. Power button, volume rocker, power button, SIM tray on the S10 Plus, whereas the P30 Pro only has the IR blaster and the microphone. And both phones have USB-C, but the S10 Plus has a 3.5 millimeter headphone jack. Major win right there. All three phones on the sides, bottom, other side, and the top. Looking at the backs, beautiful breathing crystal, prism green, and lavender violet. Each color is very spectacular. But if I could only pick one, I'll probably still go with the breathing crystal on the P30 Pro. It is just stunning. Now, let's not forget the price difference between these phones. $1,000 US, $1,000 US, $500 US. The fact that the Mi 9 is even in this conversation is a special thing, and it really proves that Xiaomi can do so much at half the price. But if I have to give it to one phone on design, it's gotta be the Galaxy S10 Plus. You may disagree, you may not. I do find the punch hole is far less distracting than the teardrop notch on the P30 Pro. I even prefer the teardrop notch on the Mi 9 over the P30 Pro. But don't get me wrong, the P30 Pro still comes in second because it's a brilliantly designed phone. I just wish the curves were a little less soft. Display, AMOLED, 6.47 inches versus 6.4 versus 6.39. Slightly bigger due to the smaller side bezels on the P30 Pro, although if you get these all very close, you see that they have some of the smallest top and bottom bezels on any smartphone. But the one major difference here, Full HD, Quad HD. And for you pixel peepers, you will notice the difference. Now that's not to say that the P30 Pro screen isn't usable, but when you go in there, you can see the pixels ever so slightly, and it just is something that I feel shouldn't happen on a $1,000 smartphone. Huawei, you should have included Quad HD on this phone at this price, and I don't know what the thinking was to not include it. All the displays get plenty bright, but I think the P30 Pro and Galaxy S10 Plus definitely get brighter. Looking at the white point of these phones in their current setup, S10 Plus is definitely on the warmer side, and I like that. But you can also adjust the P30 Pro to that warmer hue, although it has this more yellowish tint that I don't really like as much. And as long as the Mi 9 is on increased contrast, it needs to stay at default. All of these phones offer great displays, and considering the price of the Mi 9, the AMOLED display on it is actually really solid. But if I have to pick one phone with the best display, it's gonna go to the Galaxy S10 Plus. Whether you like it or not, Quad HD should be standard on a $1,000 smartphone. Even the iPhone XS Max has a higher pixel per inch than Full HD, and the P30 Pro, while it does have a really nice vibrant screen, really should be a Quad HD at this price point. And so if I had to pick them in order, just in terms of that, I would say it's first, second, and third. Not a bad display, but considering this phone is half the price, you're getting the same resolution, and so P30 Pro, that is unfortunate. You should have had Quad HD at $1,000. YouTube playback on the P30 Pro, S10 Plus, and Mi 9. Which one do you think is the most immersive? If I have to go with one, I'm going with the S10 Plus. Even though the punch hole is a little bit larger, I still find that the notch on these two phones is just a little more distracting. I do like the Mi 9's notch though. It is a little more subtle, whereas this one just kind of sticks out there and is a little bit more intrusive. But the colors on the S10 Plus with that vivid mode that Samsung has released just pop. And they are a step above both the P30 Pro and the Xiaomi Mi 9. But it's amazing to see what the Xiaomi Mi 9 is doing at $500 compared to these super flagships. DRM Info, and this is a first on Frankie Tech, and I gotta just clap to these phones. For the first time ever, we have L1, L1, and L1 on all three smartphones that I'm testing. Way to go, phones. That means you have HD Netflix on each one of these. Incredible. Performance, Geekbench 4, the Kirin 980 on the P30 Pro, and the Snapdragon 855 on the S10 Plus and the Mi 9. And it's clear to see that the 855 is definitely taking a step ahead of the Kirin 980. This is still a solid chip for 2019, so I'm not going to say that there's a major difference there, but I do believe that the GPU on the 855 will give you better overall gaming performance, and this will be much more future-proof. Kirin 980 is still a solid chip though, and I think there's less disparity between these in terms of performance. Battery life, 4,200, 4,100, 3,300 milliamperes. These two phones may be the longest lasting phones on the market today. The P30 Pro has been lasting me well over 10 hours of screen on time. As you see, 10 hours, 43 minutes. And the Galaxy S10 Plus has definitely lasted at least a day and a half in use, maybe even 2 days with light use. But the Mi 9, as you remember from my battery drain test, did really well with an almost 11-hour screen on time. So all of these phones will do a great job, but the Mi 9 with that 3,300 milliampere power pack just won't last as long. We may have to figure this out in a battery drain test, so stay tuned for that in the future. GPU gaming, and we got the Adreno 640 versus the Mali G76 MP10. But I gotta say, gaming on the P30 Pro is something special. And the speakers are really solid, at least in initial experience. This game flies on this phone. But the S10 Plus is no slouch. Woo! Woo! Oh yeah, and I think is the least distracting with the punch hole, and the speakers are solid. But the Mi 9 at $500 still gets the job done, if only with a slightly annoying notch. But I love how this game is maximized full screen on all these phones, and at half the price, the Mi 9 is offering a very similar excellent gaming experience. Audio speaker test, let's have a listen. Definitely a clear distinction between these two and the Mi 9. The Mi 9 falls to third. It just can't hang at 100%. And the P30 Pro has a great speaker system on it, but it can't stand next to the Galaxy S10 Plus. The sound on the S10 Plus is just far better, and I'm shocked to say it, but the S10 Plus may have one of the best speakers on a smartphone that I have tested in 2019. So first, second, third. Camera. Triple camera setup on each phone, unless you count the time of flight sensor on the P30 Pro. In that case, it's a quad camera setup, 40 megapixel, 20 megapixel, and that 8 megapixel periscope f3.4 with that 5x optical zoom. 12 megapixel, 12, and 16, including that awesome ultra wide on the S10 Plus, and the 48 megapixel Sony IMX586 f1.8 with a 16 ultra wide and a 12 megapixel telephoto on the Mi 9. Every phone is capable of shooting 4K, but the S10 Plus and the Mi 9 both have the ability to shoot 4K 60 frames per second out of the box. Front-facing shooters, 32 megapixel f2.0, dual 10 and 8 megapixel sensors on the S10 Plus, and a 20 megapixel f2.0 on the Mi 9. This selfie camera is one of the largest megapixel selfie cameras I've seen on a smartphone, but the S10 Plus does have the benefit of that dual sensor on the front, interfaces, portrait, live focus, and portrait, and there are night modes on the Mi 9 and the P30 Pro, and I know Samsung is working on a night mode. I don't have one on my phone yet, but I know it will be coming out soon. But it's time to check out these samples. Let me know which of these three phones shot the best shots out of the ones I'm sharing. Final verdict on camera. The periscope lens on the P30 Pro is unique in smartphones. It may be one of the best new features on a smartphone, and the 48 megapixel f1.6 aperture camera is just a joy to use. You don't even need night mode on this phone. It shoots auto better than even the Pixel 3 XL at night, and I think is just a step above the S10 Plus and the Xiaomi Mi 9 in terms of camera quality. The S10 Plus comes close, but it just can't hang at the level of the P30 Pro. And the Mi 9, considering its price at half the amount of these phones, does a killer job. And I think if value is what you want in your smartphone shooter, you have it in the Xiaomi Mi 9. Final verdict. The P30 Pro is an incredible phone, and it's the best camera on a smartphone to date, but there are some major things it's missing out on, including that Quad HD display. The design and the curved edge is not to my liking compared to the one on the S10 Plus, and I really do feel that EMUI is still a little bit behind One UI and even MIUI 10. In my opinion, the S10 Plus has been surprisingly one of my favorite phones of 2019. For all the hate I give Samsung, this is a spectacular phone and it has been a joy to use since the day I got it. The Xiaomi Mi 9 for $500 is the best value smartphone, the best value flagship smartphone that you can get. But which of these phones would I pick if I could only pick one? I'm pinching myself to say this, but I would have to pick the Galaxy S10 Plus. And yes, pigs can fly as well. Frankie Tech has picked a Samsung phone over Huawei and Xiaomi as his favorite phone of these three. There's just something about the Galaxy S10 Plus that does it for me. I don't know if it's the interface, I don't know if it's the camera setup, I don't know if it's just the smoothness, the screen quality, the build quality, the battery life. This phone ticks all the boxes, and the camera quality is good enough, I think, to really be able to use it as a main shooter day to day. The Mi 9, at its price, is the best phone that you can get and is the ultimate budget flagship phone of 2019 so far, until Pocophone F2 comes out. This I can hardly recommend to anyone who wants a spectacular flagship on a budget. And this global version doesn't come with ads. You can remap the side AI button for Google Assistant, and it comes with all the Google apps installed, DRM Info L1, and that great battery life that I experienced on the China ROM version of this phone. And if that's your price range, I would pick this hands down. The P30 Pro is a terrific phone, don't get me wrong. I am surprised that I don't like it though as much as I did the P20 Pro from last year. The P20 Pro was a game-changing phone, and it really changed the way we talk about smartphone cameras and really set the standard for what we expect out of the best cameras on these phones. This year, it takes it another step above, and the periscope lens is spectacular. The night mode is amazing, but the phone, just the phone itself, is not as spectacular. The software is still a little janky in edges, and I'm not a huge fan that this is not a Quad HD display. It really should be, even though that will probably help with battery life overall. But if you're paying this much for a smartphone, you really should get it. If you want the best camera in a smartphone, get the P30 Pro. But as an overall phone, in terms of display, design, audio, performance, and camera, I still have to go with the Galaxy S10 Plus. So that's it for this video. I guess it probably went a little longer than I expected. It always does, but I tried to do it in that bullet point mini review format. Hopefully it's a little bit shorter than it normally is. Let me know what you guys thought of that kind of style, and it is really helpful to be able to get through more reviews, and it gives me just a bit more time to be able to do more videos for you guys doing it in this format. But hit me up in the comments. What do you think of my decision here? It might be a controversial one. I'd love to hear your thoughts. And that's it for this video. If you liked it, give me that thumbs up. And if you love the content of Frankie Tech, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell icon for future updates. And let me also know what other videos you'd want to see with these phones. Happy to do some more stuff with them. And that's it. So I'll leave it at that. Happy Easter to all you guys. And this is where I leave you by saying, this is Frankie Tech signing off. Have a good one.